Hello. Hi, Stefan. Hi, Retabile. Hi, Victor. Hi, Stacy. Welcome, welcome. Hello. Nice to see your face. Hi, Dia. Welcome. We're going to give everyone a couple minutes to come in. And in the meanwhile, hi, Stacy. Nice to see your face. Hello. So this is going to just be an informal place to ask questions about the eMRP. I'm happy to share any information. If you're trying to make a decision to see if this is the right program for you, we want to help get you the answers so that you can decide if the eMRP is the right place for you this year. So I want to open it up. Does anyone have any questions to start, or would you like me to run through what the program is first? Hi, Victor. Victor, did you have a question?
Hi, Lorraine. I'm getting you.
Hi, Victor. How are you? Did you have a question that you wanted to get us started with?
Yes, I have a question now. So many questions to ask.
Okay, go ahead. I think Victor's trying to find a spot that is quieter. So we can. Yes, hi.
Hi, Lord. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm the one that got out on the first day, right in the middle of the question, right?
Okay, great.
I'm driving again, but hopefully I'm not going to cut out this time. So my question is a little bit looking further ahead from the MRP. Let's assume we get to a point where we have our channel figured out, channel strategy figured out.
Yeah.
And then you need to be able to connect with the buyers or showrooms, boutiques, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So in the US, how prevalent is it for, these buyers to work with you on the basis of whether or not you are stocking or fulfilling out of the US, A? And secondly, if you have maybe an idea in terms of what kind of costs one can incur if they want to work with the showroom, right? So I imagine there's typically a commission sort of a structure, but besides that, I believe there may also be monthly retainer or rent, to put it one way, if you are to work with these boutiques or these showrooms.
Right.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Those are great questions. So I'll start with your first one, which is about sort of thinking about, after connecting with buyers in the US, so let's just start there. So once you figured out your sales channel and you have sort of your target clients that you want to be working with, there are lots of different ways to work with people. If you've chosen retailers, for example, as one of your target customers, we've, as long as you're including shipping costs, a lot of retailers are not used to working directly with other countries or like all the logistics around shipping. And so one of the ways that you can make those costs more transparent to start with is by doing landed pricing. So if you don't have a presence in the US, if you don't have a warehouse here, it's not required that you have a warehouse here, depending on sort of the type of client that you're working with. In some cases, it might make sense to have a warehouse, but if you're working in small quantities and you want to get started, you might want to get started without a warehouse to start with. And so a way that you can get around that is by using landed pricing. So landed pricing means that you're going to be calculating all the costs to get your product ready, but including in the price also the cost to ship the products to that client. So you would be baking in the price of shipping into your product price, so that, you know, when that retailer is buying from you, they have a better understanding of what that full price is going to be. You know, when you're shipping internationally, sometimes that price can be that shipping cost can be very high, and when retailers are used to working with other retailers in their or with other producers in their country or buying from the US, often the shipping cost is much lower. And so they're really going to be shocked if they see that the shipping cost is 100% of the price, or, you know, 50% of the price. Those might be enough to kill a deal. And so that's why landed pricing is a good way to sort of like get into the market without having to have a wholesale operation in the US. And, you know, if you can bake those prices in, then, you know, the retailer can tell already, okay, that price is going to work for my market and my shop, or no, it's not. So anyone who says yes to that pricing is already going to have a better understanding. They're less likely to sort of cancel once you give them the shipping price quote. So that is something that we do go through in quite detail in the eMRP. So landed pricing, we have a whole worksheet on how to do that. So you would be able to, you know, work through all the calculations. And part of the sales channels conversation and decision conversation is also like what markups are possible for your products and like where do you want them to end up in the retail market. And so choosing sales distribution is not just sort of like what type of clients you want, but also what kind of markups your product can take in the market. So we do go through that in quite a lot of detail. I have a presentation on costing and pricing where I work through how to do those markups in each of the channels. And then we go through it as markups in the sales channel presentation as well. So that is a good question. But that's one of the ways that we recommend to sort of get around having to wholesale in the US or having like a permanent presence here. So that's one thing. And then your second question about showrooms, working with sales reps. You know, I think these percentages might vary, and it depends on sort of like how big is the showroom, you know, what is the structure that they have. Most showrooms have sales reps, you know, based in them. I know, let's see, one of our eMRP alumni who's been a presenter for a long time, Laura Keynes, she is a sales rep at a showroom, and she also has her own retail shop. And so she's worked in this way quite a lot with artisan businesses. And I think the percentages can vary, you know, 10, 20%. That can be sort of like the range that you can expect for sort of a sales rep. But again, that's something, I don't have all the details of everyone's individual negotiations with sales reps. So that's something that would be a conversation if you were interested in a showroom, you know, talking to that showroom about if there's any rent for certain space, like how much that would include, or if that's included in the actual percentage, you know, sales rep price. Those are all conversations that you would have to have with the individual showrooms or sales reps that you're looking at. But all excellent questions and things that we cover in the eMarket Readiness Program as well. So does that answer your questions?
Yes, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to open it up. Does anyone else have any questions?
Yes, I have a question, this Victor.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, it's very grateful to meet you again today and see you. I'm very good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So tell me your question.
Nice to see you. So my question first is going to tackling the policies that is being put by the WFTO for the handmade people that work on handmade, that want also to do export also, or maybe to get market from the abroad, whereby you find like, if I talk of Africa or maybe in Kenya, you find like the policies that we have in Kenya are totally different with some policies that are in US or UK or maybe other Europe countries. So like you find like we have got people that are doing very wonderful things. Like for example, one is my group, but you find this kind of group at times they lack finances, they lack capital that can enable them to access all the certificate requirements or satisfaction that can help them in doing export. Whereby now you find there are now middlemen that you find take products from them, and these middlemen, they have money. So you find these are the now people that benefit in the name that they also work with these artisans. Yet they're just buying products from these artisans. And with the fair trade policies, the artisans need to benefit like 60 to 70%. But when these middlemen take products from us, these people benefit like, I can say almost 90%. And the artisan benefit from them like even 10% or less than that 10%. So how can the ATA mitigate its policies so that these small groups also can get it easy to have access to the international market?
Okay, lots of questions in there that I'm hearing.
Second,
yeah,
this now just a request to the ATA. Can ATA have a platform website whereby the groups or the members that are working on the handmade that also have been engaged themselves into meetings, into webinars? Yes?
I missed the last part of that question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm saying, can the ATA have design a website or a platform that contain the artisans groups or the members that are doing the handmade products, so that these people, their market can be marketed through the ATA platform now, whereby when the customer needs these products, they can as well go to the ATA platform and then see how many groups or how many members are registered or are known by the ATA, so that these people also can have access that exactly these groups are also members of the ATA. Now, when we get products with them, we have the surety of the delivery of good quality or of maybe the price costing that fit the international market.
That is a request that we receive a lot. But I'm going to answer your first question first, because there's a couple questions in there. So let me just go back and make sure I remembered everything that you asked. So you were asking about export, and there's a lot of challenges with certificates and like different countries having different requirements and not having the funds to be able to get those certifications for export.
Like the first question is going to the groups within mostly Africa that are marginalized and are not able to raise money to get the satisfaction to enable them to export. Whereby you find these are the main groups that are doing this work in production, but they cannot get access to marketing international due to this satisfaction that are required by the international policies.
Yeah. So I understand, I mean, every country has their own national export requirements, and it can be really challenging because they're not always designed for ease of the artisan sector. And so I know it can be really hard when you're working in a country that doesn't have great policies that work, that make it easier for artisan businesses to export. So one of the things, that I recommend to people is to, if you can look and see what government programs or what government support agencies are available in your country. There are usually some that might be, have someone who's a good resource, and they can help you navigate whatever the particular regulations are in that country. If you can find that contact within a government agency. They can help you sort of like navigate, understand, which ones are required for you, make it a little bit clearer, because I understand it's not always easy. And the governments themselves are not, they're not always easy to get a hold of or find the right contact. It can be very challenging. So that said, one, I would go to the government and see, because that's their job, is to help people, and they want to increase export. That's what governments are doing. There's a lot of governments that have export promotion organizations within the government. And so those are good places to look for. I would also look at chambers of commerce in that country. So like a national chamber of commerce, or even like a major city chamber of commerce. And that business network is more likely to have good contacts for you. That is going to help you to navigate some of those challenges that about regulations or whatever certification that you need to be able to export. So local resources are a really good place to start. And that's really the place you have to start, because other countries are not going to know what regulations are required in each of the individual countries. So that's part one. Usually there are resources, even if they're buried, even if you have to contact lots of people to find them, there usually are some resources or people that are helpful that are going to be available in the government in whatever country you're in. Part two is fair trade, fair export processes and middlemen. So one of the most important things in your costing and pricing process is to make sure that you are following that fair payment and fair costing for yourself. So that's one of the most important reasons that costing and pricing is really important, because you want to make sure that you're covering your costs, that you are paying yourself fairly, and not selling the product for less than it costs to make it. Because if someone comes to you and offers to buy things for, at a discount, or like is trying to pressure an artisan business to be able to, with big sales or something, that's what middlemen are buying products. You just don't sell the products to those middlemen at less than what it is gonna, actually cost you to make a profit and to cover your costs. So if you are secure, if you are sure that you are happy in your pricing, that you have covered your costs, whatever that middleman sells it for, it doesn't matter. They have their own market. They can sell it for whatever they want. As long as you are covering your costs, you are making sure that you are getting fair payment to everyone involved, and that you're happy with your profit margins. What other people do with that price, it doesn't matter, because maybe they have a market, maybe they don't. If they have a market and they have a market for a price at much higher, then great, they're going to keep buying from you. And if you're happy with your price, then that's great. That's more sales for you. So, I mean, there's a lot of concern about middlemen in the artisan space, but really it's about protecting yourself. It's about setting your pricing to be something that you are happy with, that you are confident in, and then whatever channel you choose, whether it's through that middleman or through your own channels, all of them are streams that are going to be giving you business, that are going to be, generating more sales for you, more work for the artisans. And so those markups are going to be, different in different countries. And one of the things that comes up in my costing and pricing presentation at the eMarket Readiness Program every time is those markups in export all the way to the US and the traditional channels. It's really quite shocking how much that price increases. And so if you look online for the retail prices of a US store, and you see that it is like so much more than what you're selling it for, there's no one person who's making like an insane amount of money in this market. Typically, I mean, typically the people who are working in the handmade sector are doing it because they care about artisans. They're doing it because they want to give back. No one's making crazy amounts of profit in the sector. Generally, there of course are always bad apples and bad actors, but those markups really just do cover costs through the way. So your best protection is to make sure your costing and pricing is correct and that you are happy with it and that you have determined, who you're going to sell to and, that those are, generating enough sales for you through whatever channels you've chosen. Okay. Does that answer your questions? Oh, you're on mute, Mister. I can't hear you. You're on mute. Victor, you want to unmute?
Okay, hello.
Yes.
Okay, now my another question concerning that. Like now, the big challenge that mostly handmade artisans undergo is marketing. Now, if we leave about the middleman or maybe this market in the US, is there a possibility for the ATA to set up maybe a website
Oh, yes,
that
the
can
website.
contain?
Okay, so let me answer that question. I forgot that I had gone through all the other ones. So, okay, in terms of a membership site, I mean, we are building out what this Artisan Business Lab membership is going to look like. Right now we have a member directory, which is just internal for our Artisan Business Lab members. Right now, this is something we get a request for a lot. It is a possibility in the future. I mean, we're never going to build out an e-commerce website because we're a nonprofit organization. That's not really in our mission. We don't want to be making profit and trying to be running a business here. So that is something we also get requests for, but that's a possibility of what that membership could look like. And, as a eMRP participant this year, you would get membership in the Artisan Business Lab membership. So we would have 12 months of membership access for the next year to be part of that membership when you join the eMRP. So that's something that we are creating right now, what that membership looks like. So thanks for your questions, Victor. So we got a question in the chat from Stacy, I believe. Hannah, do you want to read that out? Or Stacy, did you want to try to unmute and ask it yourself? Oh, I think Stacy dropped off due to network. So then maybe we can just read it for her and she can watch this later. Hannah, do you mind reading it out for me?
Sí, pues ahora yo estoy en el canal de español.
I'll be on the Spanish channel
Oh, okay,
now.
sorry. Jackie, you want to read that to me?
Yes, no problem. So Stacy said, I'm in Tanzania and the network is horrible. Can you help me with importing and exporting between US and here in Tanzania? I'm an American, but I live most of the time in the US. The shipping cost has been a huge barrier to entry for me, and I'm trying to find a way around it.
Okay, great. So, I mean, you have an advantage because you're back and forth between Tanzania and the US, so that's certainly helpful to be able to be physically in both places in figuring out logistics, and you can sort of ship to yourself if you are in the US. So, yeah, I think it depends on your product type. If you're working with like large pottery or baskets, then you might need to be working in container or partial container shipping, and I know that takes a long time. That can be a long time. So if you're looking in large products or heavy products that really have to be shipped, I would look at freight forwarding companies and also sharing containers. So if you're not filling an entire container at this point, you can do LCL, which is less than container load. So to do LCL, you just take like a pallet in a container itself. So, it's still lower cost than, shipping via DHL or something. In Tanzania, I don't know how the postal system is there, how reliable it is. I would ask around and see if just sending through the regular Tanzanian postal system is a viable option. I know in some countries things get stolen, so you don't always want to ship through the post office. But I would get some local recommendations to see how trustworthy the post office is. That's often one of the cheapest ways to ship. It might take a little bit longer than some places, so I would do a test shipment even just do a test shipment to yourself through different options and see how long it takes, how banged up they get if they actually arrive. I know when I was shipping things from South Africa or to the US or US to South Africa, sometimes it would take 3 months and arrive completely dirty and banged up. So, it's one of those things you have to figure out through experience or asking other people with experience. In terms of DHL, if you have small products or lightweight products, you can work with various couriers. Sometimes there's a local courier that has better rates than like the international couriers. I know that there were in South Africa, there were some local couriers that I had contract with to get lower rates. You can often contact those companies and negotiate better rates. You can get business rates, not commercial rates. So, just typing in on a website to DHL and getting a quote, if you contact a representative, you can negotiate better preferential rates. So those are some suggestions that I have for you to be able to get better shipping costs. But I know it's challenging. And, that's one of those things that like, if you can't find, if you've already done that and you can't find any lower, then, you need to bake it into the pricing and make sure that your costs of the product are low enough that it can handle having that amount of shipping price on it. So hopefully that answers your question, Stacy, and you're able to watch this in the replay. Okay, great. So do we have any other questions in the chat? Oh, Stacy just came back in. So, okay. Hi, Milton. Yes, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eti. I'm very much excited to have been part of this noble cause, as I have been communicating with Hannah. Is she Hannah? Nice meeting you, Hannah. It's my first time to see each of you, but mine is not a question, it is just a concern. As part of appreciating the kind of effort that you have been giving us as organization supporting doing artisan work, whereby it is doing a lot of great effort that is trying to improve the livelihoods of the most vulnerable people in our rural communities. Especially me, we got the grant specifically to train younger mothers and widows on how to make local shoes. It has been a very great achievement to the organization and to the communities and families where these vulnerable beneficiaries that we are trying to support, they have achieved a lot as well as improving their livelihoods. So my concern is just it is just a concern, not a question. Just wishing to know whether it can be possible to be having these virtual meetings like monthly, to keep sharing with other grantees, as well as from you, the donors, sharing some of the challenges, and maybe getting back or forging way forward on how we can go over whatever we are doing, though whether supported or not, but also we can achieve what we need through the technical guidance, through exchange sharing with other individuals who are doing the same artisan work. That was my concern. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Milton, for sharing. I'm glad that these have been helpful for you and that you feel like you're getting good information and also community out of these. And that is our goal for, hosting these is going to be available for those of you who don't necessarily want to join the eMRP, but want a space where they can connect with their peers in a space like this. So thank you for sharing. And yes, Stacy, we did answer your question while you were off. So please do listen to the recording. I'm so sorry you dropped off with network while I was answering it, but thanks for asking. Okay, George.
Thank you.
Yeah, are you able to get me?
Thank you, Milton.
Thank
Are
you.
you able to get?
What's that?
Are you getting me?
Yes, we hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. My question is, I think I've got two issues. My question is, are we going to have anytime soon the MRP program that used to take place, and the and the
New York?
New York MRP and SACTA participation in the US? Are we seeing that project coming up soon?
So we've switched our MRP from in person at New York to online, and the reason that we did that is, well, one, the pandemic. All the trade shows shut down, and so we were not able to have a physical space to meet. And the reason we moved it to online is also because it was so much more expensive. You know, it was $3,000 at minimum to be able to run the program. And, you know, often we were not able to, you know, sort of just barely cover our costs, and it was really expensive for everyone. You know, you had to fly to the US, and you also had to, you know, live in New York for a week and pay for food in New York for a week, which is all adds up to, it's probably over $5,000-6,000 per person for, you know, coming in person. And so that just was like beyond most people's financial ability. And that's why we started this program. You know, it's only $945 versus like $6,000 with all of the travel costs and everything. So we're able to offer this to more people when we do it online, and have it more accessible at a more accessible financial investment than when we were doing it in person. So that's why we decided to make the switch to online only. You know, we have run custom programs, similar programs in the US, for when we have like a specific funder or a program where there's a group of people, you know, that they want to sponsor to come and to do a custom program. So, you know, that the financial burden is not on the participants. So we have done that in the last couple of years. We've done that a few times. Similar program for a custom, you know, program with a funder and such. So it is something we still do and can do. It's just not something that we can open up to the whole program unless we have a specific funder or group of people who can come through and can fund it for the participants.
Okay, but is the SACTA New York still taking place?
Oh, you're
Or
very
is it
quiet. I can't quite hear
down?
you.
Yeah, I'm saying, is the SACTA New York still on, or is it completely closed?
No, the shows are still going. They have changed a lot. So the New York Now show is much smaller than it used to be. It's still at the Javits Center. It's still twice a year. It's running in, you know, February or end of January and August every year. And then there's a new show as well in New York, which is called Shop Object. And so that's happening at the same time. It's a more curated show. It's a little bit higher end and more handmade products. And so we, 8 Artisans projects are exhibiting at the Shop Object show, not at New York Now anymore. And so we are still going to shows. They are still happening, but they have changed. So, you know, in 2019, they were much bigger. There are fewer people who have come back to in-person trade shows. They are still running, they are still important, but they're not as big, and they're not the only way to connect to the market anymore. There's an increase in online platforms, online wholesale platforms now. Any other questions?
Not the question. We in October we're having the festival is taking place in October in Luangwa. And we're working with basketry producers who kind of mass produce the basketry in the valley. I don't know how we can have maybe customized training with them with ATA.
Yeah.
Not necessarily eMRP,
Mhm.
but to have customized training, maybe online for now. And then we see as we're still discussing with the funders, because it's been quite slow. I explained to Hannah, my heart has been a problem, so I've been losing a bit of touch. I've been in hospital and so on. Yeah, but I think yeah, we definitely need to explore a bit more about how we can have a number of those producers have some online training with ATA soon, probably the month end of September.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, definitely send an email. We'd love to chat, you know, off this call about any sort of custom program that we could definitely do that. We do that often, where we, you know, learn about your group and what you're trying to achieve with the training, and we create a custom program that will reach the needs and the goals of your program. Yeah, we'd be happy to do that. That would be lovely. We can do that online too. We could do a hybrid. So everyone could be in person, and we could be online. You could just sort of project something on the wall, and we could all be together in person and online.
Okay, I think that is
Yeah,
fine, yeah.
That'd be great. We'll talk more, George. Thanks.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm going to open it up. And does anyone else have any questions? Anna, Nally, Retabile, Stephen, Irene, anyone that we haven't heard from yet? You can also type your question in the chat if you'd rather not go off of mute.
I have another question.
Yes,
if
please go
possible.
ahead.
I've seen that ATA has a display at shop object, right?
Yes.
And I'm not sure if the eMRP leads into that in some way, where you know the participants are by default kind of chosen to be part of that show through ATA, or is that something more subjective?
That's a good question. So our shop object participants, we have two booths, which are both funded projects. So we support the brands that are coming to the show. So Dos Tierras in Mexico is, you know, part of our sponsored program in Mexico. And then we have another program which also sponsored another brand from China. And so those two are in the Shop Object Show. Now, we used to have a program called Team, which is a training entrepreneurs in artisan markets. And this was for alumni of the Market Readiness Program to teach them, help them with their first exhibition, their first trade show, and, you know, give that support and having a little bit of a smaller booth space in a shared sort of H Artisans like space. Now we closed that with the pandemic. We have not restarted it yet, but it is something that we get a lot of requests for. And so we are thinking about how we can do that again in the future, and which trade show makes the most sense for us to relaunch that. It's a question and a conversation, and something that we know that there is interest in. We're just trying to figure out how to do it in a way that makes the most sense and is at the best trade show. So stay tuned. We don't have an answer yet, but it is something that we are hoping to be able to relaunch again.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Feel free to use the chat or the Q&A section if you have any questions.
Maybe
Yeah, George.
one more question.
Sure.
Yeah, that is Hannah. Is that Lauren?
I'm Lauren. Yes.
Yeah, Lauren. Okay, so it's a while I met you.
Yes.
Yeah. you know, I'm also kind of, because we have a collision. I think I did share some time back where we had this support program with the joint United Nations in Zambia, and you still building on that. In our strategic plan, we still have this component of after we have built some capacity with the producers, to have some kind of an exhibition or a trade show in the US. I don't know if we can have signages to, you know, explore on those possibilities. We have trainings and so on, and then we can get from our network people that can come and participate or have representation, but at least products are exhibited and further training in the US. Yeah.
So let me see if I understand your question correctly. You want to know if ATA can start like our own trade show for artisans? Is that your question?
Something like that, or participate facilitate to participate in a existing trade show.
Okay, so I mean, a trade show is a lot of work, and you know, these are big for-profit companies that run these, and the places that that you host a trade show are also very expensive. People have like own the buildings or are renting at a very high cost the space of the trade show, so it would be exorbitantly expensive for us to like run our own trade show. So it's much more cost effective for us to like join other trade shows that already exist, you know, because we're a nonprofit organization, we're not generating lots of profit to be able to invest in something like that. So kind of similar to what I just mentioned is that we are looking at resurrecting that trade show program where we help prepare people to exhibit at a trade show. It's called TEAM. And that's training entrepreneurs in artisan markets. And that is a program where we do preparation. So after someone's gone through something like the eMarket Readiness Program and is ready and has like their product prepared and that they've done their action plan, then we would help them with, we have a how to prepare for an international trade show course online, and then they would go through that. And then they would get mentoring in like booth design, helping select products, making sure pricing is correct. Then at the actual show, you would have on the ground support with ATA staff, with setup, with display, booth, you know, design, and you know, actually running the trade show, and then breakdown and stuff, and then follow up. So that program of support exists, and it's something that we're thinking about resurrecting, but is not running right now because we don't have the right venue and plan for it yet. Okay.
I wish Donna was on the. I wish Donna was online as well, because she's worked a lot with the U.S. Embassy. And her factory actually was supposed to be visited by the Vice President Harris Kamara.
Oh wow, great! Yeah,
yeah. So I think she made an application for this Canvas
Home grant.
She actually got a recommendation from the embassy.
Amazing.
I just wish she was online, but I'll need to talk to her. Probably a bit of influence here and there, and see how we can trigger some of this support, because we still need to push the agenda. I remember those times when I did projects with ATA South Africa. We were also working on prevention of migration of Africans to other spaces through, you know, possibilities of opportunities and jobs, you know, backyard industries, which is exactly what we're discussing here. And the responsibilities rise with the stakeholders and government to support this, because in the end we are fostering prevention of trafficking and illegal immigration and so on. Illegal migration of people and things like that. Yeah. So possibly we need to have a bit more conversation on this. Unfortunately, I've been unwell, but we should be able to, I think, do some conversation. I'll chat with Donna as well. Let's see how it all goes. Yeah, I think we need to trigger a bit of more some vibrant projects that ATA has been doing, and we see how we can push things together. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. We'll have to talk more. Thanks, George.
Good.
Great. Okay, so we have a couple questions in the chat from Anna. Do you want to read those, Jackie?
Sure. So the first question from Anna is asking, can you sponsor a training if I would like to train more weavers, but in a different location in country?
So that's a good question. We are not a funder, so we don't have like funds that we can give out. We do have our Campus Home Small Grants Program, which people are welcome to apply for. That is for very small grants. If that's something that you wanted to do, you could apply for a Campus Home Small Grant next year for that. But we don't have any funds outside of that to be able to sponsor trainings because we're a nonprofit, not a funder.
Her follow-up question was regarding the small grants. It says, I had applied for the small grant and wanted to know if it is over and if people have won the grants already.
So we've just closed the grant process at the end of July, and so all the applications have come in. They are now being reviewed, so that process takes a long time. We have a committee of grant committee that looks at all the applications and then evaluates them, and then they vote. So it's independent from Age of Artisans, so we don't have any staff people who are in part of that committee, so we are not involved in that. And so the grants committee is reviewing applications right now, and they will email everyone out once they've finished reviewing and that they have awarded grants, but certainly it's not even been a month, so it's definitely not done yet.
But just to clarify, you are not taking applications.
We're not taking any more. No, there's no more applications. It's only open. It was only open till July 31st, and it's closed now until next year.
Thanks.
Great. Okay, any other questions about the eMarket Readiness Program or anything else?
Yo tengo una pregunta muy rápido antes de terminar. ¿Qué es la cosa más único de esta programa?
What is what you understand as unique from this program? Why do you consider it special or unique?
It's a great question. Thank you, Hannah. So, I mean, the eMRP is really the only program of its kind that exists. It's something that we have built over 25 years, and it has evolved over time, and really it's designed to give you everything that you need to know, like a crash course in all the stuff that are going to make you successful in international market. So, everything from, trends to plan for, costing and pricing, sales channel strategy, talking about marketing. We talk about buyers, and we have a buyer panel. We have, product development and design. All those things, we cover the essentials, and then you also get feedback on your product and your business. This is really invaluable to get feedback from people who are in the industry in the US market, who have run businesses and are going to give you really honest market feedback on what your product could do or what you need to change about your product in order to be successful. That's something that is not available everywhere. It's very hard to get people to do that, and it's something you usually have to pay quite a lot for. So the combination of those things, of just this intensive education, the peer learning, the community that's created, and also these expert mentors who are going to give you this customized business feedback, it's just invaluable. It's really a transformative program. It's something that we see people go through. They get really excited. They are fired up to make changes in their business, and then we see people go off and make those changes and use it to launch themselves forward or make a pivot. Sometimes someone goes through the eMRP and they decide their plan was not that they came in with. It's not the plan that they should have going forward. So I think that it just saves you years of headache in order to make it's sort of like getting a whole group to help you decide what direction you should take and to what's the best step forward. So it's just saving a lot of time. It's saving a lot of headache and a lot of lessons that you don't have to learn by learning from other people's mistakes. George says it's a great program. Thank you, George. So, it's really a unique program, and it's really transformative. And, our alumni stay connected with each other. This is like something that you're going to become, your peer network is going to stay in your lives and become friends and, become business colleagues. We see people working with each other in interesting new ways and collaborating across the globe. So it's just a really wonderful program that we would love all of you to be able to join us in. Yeah, so I'm gonna drop my email in the chat as well. So if you're thinking about the eMRP and still not sure, send me an email, and I'm happy to answer anything offline if you'd like, or, hop on a call if you think you still want help deciding sort of like if this is the right program for you. So let me put my name in the chat. Great. Okay, and we just had Judith join us. Hi, Judith. Did you have any questions for us? We only have a few minutes left, so I want to make sure you get your questions answered since you just joined.
No, I don't, not as in.
Okay, but welcome. Okay, great. So I know we just said you joined us, Judith, but I don't think we have any more questions. So I'm going to close it there. Oh, Milton has a question. Let's see. Jackie, you want to answer? Or
Sure. So Milton says, I know that there's more donors and potential networks you might be knowing, but not operating within your thematic areas. Can it be possible and keep linking us to other donors and other Globe conferences? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of donors, both in individual countries. There's programs that sponsor trainings. There's, U.S. embassies in a lot of countries that will sponsor small programs and small trainings, and like attending like a U.S. collaboration conference is something that the U.S. embassy would enjoy. And that's part of their mission, is to connect international folks with American counterparts. So U.S. embassies are a great resource to speak to in your country. And yeah, I think doing a search for donors in your country or international donors is a great resource. There's lots of small little foundations. There's also corporate social responsibility arms of various businesses that are possibilities within your country as well. And so companies want to give back. And so if you can put to them a proposal of something that they can fund, then that's a great opportunity. Let's see, international donors. Yeah, I mean, international donors are harder because they often have stricter requirements around like what reporting you need to do, or like bank accounts required, and like maybe you need to be registered nonprofit in order to apply. So the larger you get, or the wider you get, it can be more challenging and also more competitive because you're competing with other countries as well. So I always think local's actually the best kind of funding to get, because you're not competing with as many people than you are with international donors. I mean, we also rely on international donors and government programs like USAID. So yeah, there's a lot of people out there doing good work. And so if you can tell your story in a compelling way, then there are opportunities out there to find donors to fund programs. Yeah. Great. So let's see. I think we're at almost 11, so we're going to close it there. But thank you everyone for coming and participating and for listening. And yeah, we would love to see you as part of the eMarket Readiness Program this year. Our registration deadline is coming up in less than a week. So by the 28th, August 28th, next week's Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are closing doors. So you have until then to decide if this program is right for you. And again, please do reach out to me if you have any individual questions, want to bounce any ideas to see if this is the right program for you. And we would love to welcome some of you to become our eMRP alumni this year. So thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you around. Bye. Thanks, Irene.